What is up? Happy Warrior Wednesday. Welcome everybody. I am so excited to be back. You know, I took Inauguration Wednesday off. Hey, there you guys are. I see you coming in. Hi, thank you for waving to me. I want to hear where you're from. Let me know where you're joining Warrior Wednesdays from. You guys, I have to tell you, we have been, I say we because I can't do this without all of y'all, but we've been kicking some major butt in these fertility streets because February is going to be fertility lit already, you guys. We have Michener, actress Michelle Michener from First Wives Club. She's going to be on in February talking about her birthing story. We have Dr. Lori Johnson, who is a therapist, an infertility therapist, that's going to be coming on in February. We have my wonderful new friend Vanessa from the UK. She's going to be coming on all the way from the UK to talk about Black women and fertility in the UK, so we can talk about the differences with that. And of course, our warrior doctor, Dr. Cindy M. Duke, will be joining us February the 10th for, you know how she does it. She answers all y'all questions, all your fertility questions. So fertility is lit in February, but today I have someone for you that is so special. So as you guys come in, tell me where you're from so we can tell her where you're from. She is so special. Her name is Nichelle Sublett. She is Mrs. North Carolina 2018 child. And she is a fertility advocate, a huge fertility advocate that has been talking about fertility even with her platform when she was in that pageant, going through a lot of stuff. I'm going to let her tell you on her own, but she chose to share her journey, and I'm so glad that she did. She also started a movement called hashtag Start Asking. So Start Asking is about asking about your fertility earlier in life at a younger age, whether you know you want to have a baby or not. Hey, for all the waves that are coming in. And so Nichelle has the Start Asking movement, and I really connected with that, with the proactive fertility health, because I wish that I knew things sooner. I wished that I asked sooner. So where are you guys like joining from? You guys can hear me, right? Give me thumbs up so I know, because I don't know if my AirPods. Okay, St. Louis, Missouri. What's up, St. Louis, Missouri? I see Mama Stu is here from Philadelphia. I see you guys waving to come in, and I love all of that good stuff. I see somebody from Connecticut is here. What's going on? Chesapeake, Virginia, how you doing? I love it, I love it, I love it. Okay, well, I am not going to keep you guys waiting because Nichelle has so many things to offer, and I really want you guys to hear it all. So let me go find her. Nassau, Bahamas. What's happening in Nassau? I wish I was there. Oh, I'm so excited for this. Excited for this. Wait till you guys meet Nichelle Sublett. I want you to give her a lot of flowers. Okay, we usually do eggs. Hey!
Hey!
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Doing fantastic. Thank you so much. Isn't she beautiful, y'all? Give her her flowers. Give her the eggs. We usually give out eggs here at Warrior Wednesday, some eggs and some hearts. But I just put a post up about you, and I was like, after hearing your story, after reading your story, after seeing your advocacy, I was like, homegirl needs to get her flowers now, because you have been an advocate for fertility while you were going through so many things. So we are here to talk about your journey, hopefully to bless and encourage other women and men that are here. Oh, Broken Brown Egg is here saying hello to you. So I know the whole community is in the building. My mom, Mama Stu, is here. She's sending you a bunch of hearts, and there's some flowers going up. So let's go right into it. Miss Nichelle Sublett, I want to start at the beginning.
Okay.
So in your adolescence, did you always want to be a mom?
Yes. So I was one of those girls who grew up just wanting to be a mom so badly. I was playing with Barbie dolls and playing house and had my kids' names picked out. So absolutely. I wanted the whole marriage, kids, the whole fairy tale.
The whole fairy tale. And and we know that not everybody has that fairy tale, right?
Right.
But one of the things that I love about your platform, about what is it again?
Oh yeah, hashtag start asking.
Start asking, is that whether you want to have a baby or not, what you're encouraging women to do is to start asking about their fertility health at an earlier age. And
Yeah.
so with that being said, so you always wanted to be a mom, but never anticipated any problems, right?
No.
So what was the first indication now that hindsight is 2020,
Yeah.
in your adolescence, in your your college years, what was your body doing? What was it telling you?
Yeah. So looking back, I had erratic periods in more like in college, not necessarily high school. I think high school I was pretty regular every month. But in college, I started noticing there were months I would skip. And I remember even freshman year getting like 2 periods in a year. And I went to student health services at UNC Chapel Hill, go Heels. And I remember a nurse practitioner telling me that, well, it could just be your body type, because I was a competitive cheerleader. I was a cheerleader at UNC. So she thought maybe I just didn't have enough body fat. But she said I could potentially have PCOS, but it was just like, it was something that was pretty much dismissed by other doctors. They're like, oh, you don't have PCOS. Like, you don't have any of the other signs and symptoms.
And because what are the signs and symptoms of PCOS?
So a lot of times it's male pattern hair growth, acne, sometimes obesity. So those different hallmark symptoms. But I did have a major symptom, which was missed and irregular periods.
Right, which is a major symptom. And so for those that don't know, PCOS is polycystic ovarian syndrome. And
Mm-hmm.
so what it basically means is that the ovaries are a little bit enlarged and they have cysts on top of the ovaries, you guys. So the more common symptoms are, like Nichelle just said, irregular periods, obesity, male pattern hair growth. Also, there's some acne. So it's one of those things that there are symptoms, but then not having a regular period could be a multitude of things. So even hearing that, oh, well, you have low body fat, you're an athlete, is somewhat of an understandable thing. But if your body isn't ovulating, your body isn't ovulating, right?
Exactly.
And so what we want to tell all the people that are out there now is that, because when we hear something from our doctor, and maybe you can help me out with this, we automatically believe everything that they say, right?
Exactly.
We have no reason really not to. So was this something, when you heard it could be PCOS, but it's probably, low weight and you're an athlete, is that something that was a red flag? Did you talk about it, or was it accepted?
I just kind of accepted it. Like you said, I think when medical professionals tell us something, we trust it. We believe that they know what's best. And I do believe that there was maybe a debate, because the thing was, I hadn't had the ultrasound to look at my ovaries. And so there was no other testing done. In hindsight, I should have kind of demanded and asked for that testing or that further evaluation.
Right.
But
Well,
I was 19.
You were 19. Exactly. And that's why Start Asking became something that you created, because you're educating women to start asking, you guys, so that if something like this happens to you, you ask sooner and you may have some answers sooner. But everybody's journey happens for a reason. So so now we go into meeting your husband. She's married, y'all. She's married. So let's go into meeting. So Harold is your husband's name?
Yes.
Okay. So you met Harold when?
So I met him in Charlotte in 19 I'm not that old, in 2010. So exactly like almost 11 years ago.
So almost 11 years ago, you meet the man of your dreams. You get married. How many years later?
Yeah, so we got married 3 years later in 2013.
Okay, in 2013, you get married, and had you guys decided, let's go ahead and start this family now. Let's wait. What was the decision-making process?
in a way, I was somebody who, right after the honeymoon, I was like, oh, I don't need the pill anymore. Like, I chucked it. I was like, let's see what happens. And thinking in my mind, like, oh, it'll probably happen sooner than later. And then I'll be happy with that. Harold was more like, okay, we'll see what happens, but not exactly ready in the way that I was ready. But he just went with it.
He went with it. So you go off the pill.
Hmm.
And then are we hoping for a pregnancy? So what happens a couple months after you get off the pill?
Yeah, so a couple months after I get off the pill, like my body seems like it's starting to regulate, but I have like these super intense cramps, and I remember like getting really bad breakouts. So I don't know if that was just kind of my body like going off the pill. I had been on and off the pill for probably 7 or 8 years prior to that. So
Mm-hmm.
it was
Mm-hmm.
nothing new, but it kind of was. After about 6 months, I remember just feeling like, whoa, like this is so weird, we're still not pregnant. And at the time it wasn't like a pressing issue, but it was kind of, there was something in the back of my head thinking, what if it's the PCOS?
So there was a seed planted back
Hmm.
when you were 19 years old, and now you're here, married, 6 months off the pill, and you go, boop, okay, what if this is the PCOS? So you're 6 months off the pill, kind of trying but not trying. Let's see what happens
Right.
if we get pregnant. And you decided to do what? Because usually they tell us if you're trying to get pregnant, you wait a year. And if it's
Yeah.
not working for a year, then go see the fertility specialist, which I don't like that advice at all. Because
No.
then we lose a year, and most women don't understand that we're not just losing those 12 mature eggs in a
Hmm.
year, we're also losing all of the follicles that come up in every ovulation cycle. So 6 months, not a full year goes by, and you have that bing, this could be PCOS. So you did what?
Yeah, so I called my doctor, my OBGYN, and I got in with her immediately, told her what was going on. She did a lot of testing, looked at like my day 3 days after your period. They'll look and see if you ovulated. She detected that I wasn't ovulating. And I remember her telling me, you can have a period and not be ovulating. You can also be ovulating and not have a period.
Can you tell everybody a little bit more about what that testing was like?
So it was actually pretty simple. It was a blood test, simple blood test. Go in at day 3, really easy, nothing invasive. She did look at my ovaries though. So she did an ultrasound. And I remember her saying, there's all these chocolate chips on your
Mm-hmm.
ovaries. Those are the cysts. So I think you have, again, I'm not a doctor, but I think you have to have 2 out of 3 criteria to be diagnosed with PCOS. So I did have 2 out of the 3.
So you had to have 2 out of the 3, and you had 2 out of the 3. And the reason I asked you to talk about the test, you guys, is because one of the things that Nichelle says that I love, and also one of the things that I always try to say, is to get a fertility diagnostic test, because what we don't really know until we're in panic mode,
Yes.
until we're at the 6 months and it's not working, or the year and it's not working. What we don't know is that there are baseline tests for fertility that a woman can get at any time, whether she's trying or not trying. So the blood test that Nichelle is talking about is like getting an AMH, your anti-Malarian hormone, your FSH hormone levels checked. And I also got that vaginal ultrasound when I froze my eggs. And so those are the tests, you guys, that you can actually get now. So it's really good that you're saying that. So, okay, so PCOS, you guys, polycystic ovarian syndrome, that a lot of women are challenged by. How did you feel when you heard the diagnosis? How did you feel?
I immediately burst out into tears. And it's not like it was the first time I had heard it. Like I said, that had been thrown around when I was 19.
Yeah.
But just hearing it and knowing that this time that really was what it was, I was scared. Like, what if I
Mm-hmm.
can never get pregnant? What does this mean? I
Mm-hmm.
just, and I felt like there was something, I think as women, we put that pressure on ourselves. Like, we have to reproduce, we have to have children. And I felt like something was wrong with me, and why didn't anybody tell me this? So I was like, why didn't anybody tell me this when I was born, that I had this PCOS thing?
Right. And so what did the doctors tell you that you could still get pregnant with PCOS? Because you can,
Yes.
right? So
She
we know that you can still get pregnant with PCOS. So she absolutely told you that.
Yeah, she insured me, and I had a wonderful doctor at the time, black female OBGYN. She was, yeah, she's like, you should not be crying. Like, this is not the end of the world. You'll be able to take Clomid and get pregnant. And yeah.
And get it going. And so, but I totally understand the tears, because it is something, when the thing about us is that we sometimes feel like everything is supposed to just work when
Right.
we want it to work. And then when we hear that something is different, because I don't even want to use the word off, just
Hmm.
different, because there's so many women with PCOS, so many women with fibroids, endometriosis. It's actually quite normal to be
Yes.
given an infertility diagnosis, you guys. So I want you to know how normal this is. So you mentioned Clomid, and if you guys have questions for Nichelle, go ahead and write them and put them in the
Oh,
question box. I see a lot of comments coming up. I had no idea if I had it or not, and I know, is my period stopped when I was 20? So there's a lot of people that understand this. But you mentioned Clomid. So
yes.
did the doctors put you on Clomid? And can you tell us what that is and what it does?
Yeah, so Clomid is a drug that you take, I believe it was 5 days in a month. So it was pretty simple, that part. And then they tell you when to have sex. So basically, it's like day, I think 16, 18, 20. It's like every other day that you'll have sex after you take your Clomid. And I know a lot of women experience really crazy symptoms, and I've heard women say they were absolutely crazy on it. The biggest thing for me wasn't the mood swings, it was these intense hot flashes that would just
Mm.
come out of nowhere. I mean,
From the Clomid.
from the Clomid. Mm-hmm.
So Clomid, and we're not doctors, but Clomid, what it essentially does is it tells your body the estrogen levels are actually lower. And then what it does, you guys, is it sends a signal to the pituitary gland, which is like right in here that Dr. Duke always tells us about. So it starts to send out the follicle stimulating hormone and the luteinizing hormone, which are basically our pregger hormones. So it kind of like jump starts fertility. It kind of says, which is why they tell you to have sex. It kind of
Yeah.
says, let's have sex and make a baby.
Yeah.
So you have some kind of side effects sometimes. So did the Clomid, did it work? Were you having sex and did it work?
So it didn't work the first month. I did
Okay.
not. The second month, I ovulated and we got pregnant. It was like, oh, in my
Right.
mind, I'm thinking, oh, that wasn't so bad at all. That was easy. Like 2 months of this, no problem.
2 months, you took a couple pills and then you got pregnant. And
Hmm.
what was that feeling like for you?
Oh, it felt amazing. Like I mean, frankly, I didn't consider that anything could go wrong, which of course we'll get
Mm-hmm.
into everything that ended up going wrong. But I just thought, oh, well, this was the hardest part for us, was just getting pregnant. And now I'm going to have a baby in 9 months. And I wasn't
Right.
even worried about anything at that point.
And then what happened?
So what happened was we ended up having a miscarriage at about 8 weeks. Just the most devastating news ever. Like I said, completely blindsided, because at this point, I don't know a lot about miscarriages. At this point, I didn't really know people who had had miscarriages, other than
Yeah.
remembering like a friend of my mom's when I was like 10 years old, and like my mom telling me about that. Just nobody talked about it at this
Yeah.
time. I think people are a lot more open now, but
Mm-hmm.
this
Mm-hmm.
was in 2013 and or 2014. I'm sorry, very beginning of 2014. It was January, and I just remember being shocked. Like in my mind, like, wait, number one, who has a miscarriage? I'm thinking in
Mm.
my mind, I'm thinking nobody in my family has that I know about, and this is just so I was completely devastated and blindsided.
And first of all, I'm so sorry for your loss,
Thank you.
and so grateful for your strength to speak out about this process.
Thank you.
Because there's so many women, as you know, being part of the fertility community, that suffer in silence. I
Hmm.
almost am sick of hearing that phrase because it's one of those things that puts us in a box,
Hmm.
and there's we need to get out of that box because there's so many of us. There's not room enough to call this something that goes into a box. So what I want to ask you is, so being pregnant, how
Hmm.
many weeks were you pregnant before any signs or symptoms occurred, or the doctor informed you that this pregnancy was not going to last?
It was about 6.5 weeks when she
Mm,
first told me, because I remember we went in for the ultrasound and she said, "Oh, I see a little flicker. Like that's the heartbeat. That's the little flicker." But I remember
mm-hmm,
we didn't listen to the heartbeat.
mm,
So I go back in, I think 2 days later for blood work because she kept wanting me to come in to have my HCG tested to make sure it was rising appropriately. And I
mm-hmm,
remember she called. We were at dinner at my parents' house, and she called, and I just broke down because she said, "Your numbers are going down, and it doesn't look good." And
mm,
I just was beside myself with pain, just feeling like, what has happened? So she said, "Come back in." So we went back in,
mm-hmm.
and she said, "Well, I'm sorry, I don't see anything. Like she saw a gestational sac and like the yolk sac, but she didn't see I'm sorry, she saw an embryo too. She didn't see a heartbeat."
Mm-hmm.
So she said, "Come back in 1 more week." So at this point, we're at 8 weeks and she still didn't see a heartbeat. And at that point, it was like, she said, I don't think this is going to work. And she did give me a choice at that point. Like, do you want to remain pregnant and just see kind of what naturally happens if your body naturally kind of has the miscarriage on its own? Or would you rather have a D&E procedure to basically take, kind of clean out the uterus in a way? It sounds horrible, but
Mm-hmm.
I elected for that, for
Mm-hmm.
the D&E
Mm-hmm.
procedure, because she said it could be literally like another month before my body decided to, quote, let go of the
Let
pregnancy.
go.
Yeah.
And oftentimes what happens is a lot of women oftentimes are pregnant and miscarry and actually don't know that they were ever pregnant, because
Right.
our bodies, if there was chromosomal issues, or
Mm-hmm.
if there was a reason that that fetus wouldn't live outside of the body, sometimes our bodies, what they will call a miscarriage, you guys, in medical terms, is a spontaneous abortion. So that's actually what they call it. And sometimes we may actually go through it unknowing the whole time that there was a pregnancy there. And
Mm-hmm.
so you elected for the D&E procedure. So everything gets cleaned out. And now you have to go through the emotional cleansing that never quite leaves you, does it?
No, it doesn't. You'll
Right.
always remember what day it happened. I feel like I remember the due date. These
Yeah.
memories are etched in your memory forever.
Yeah, because that's your baby.
Yeah.
And we know that the spirit of that still rides with you and Harold and watches over your now son, and we
Yeah.
will get to that. So then, okay, so you go through this process
Hmm.
and you decide to to keep
Hmm.
going, um, to have a child after
Hmm.
as much healing as you can do. So what was that decision like for you?
Yeah. So at that point, we actually decided to take a break of
Okay.
trying and doing anything fertility wise. We traveled. I remember we went to Italy. We just tried to enjoy our first year of marriage. We just, said, let's just have fun for a while. So we did that. And then the following fall, we got started back. And at that point, my OB sent me to the Women's Institute. She sent me to a fertility clinic, basically,
Okay.
and
Okay.
said, maybe you need a higher level of care. So,
Hmm. So you
yeah.
went to a fertility clinic, and what did they start to suggest, knowing that you have PCOS, knowing that you had endured a miscarriage? I see Broken Brown Egg saying, bravery, Nichelle. It's brave to give yourself a break. and it's brave to
Thank you
move
for
forward. We love her. So
Me too.
what did the and she's right, you are extremely brave, and we appreciate that. So what did the fertility clinic, what was the next steps for you?
So basically, we met with the doctor. She specialized in PCOS, so we felt really good about her. She pretty much felt like PCOS was the only barrier. I mean, they had checked everything out on my husband's side. Everything was great. There were no issues. So at that
So
point,
he
she
had a
put us,
semen and he had a semen analysis then, right?
yes, he had a semen
Yes.
analysis.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So he
So at
came
that
out
point,
okay with that.
yeah, everything came out great. They were like, "Oh, this is stellar," and that makes me feel even worse, right? Like, oh, I
Right.
problem.
Right.
So at that point, she put me on a drug very similar to Clomid called letrozole, which is actually used to treat breast cancer patients, but they realized it had a side effect of making women ovulate. So
Hmm.
I tried that out for 4 months. It was very similar. You take it for 5 days, you have sex when you're supposed to. The first month, I had a chemical pregnancy. So when I got pregnant that very first month, I'm like, oh, great. Like, I just needed letrozole, or I just needed a drug again. This was, not that bad, only to realize 72 hours later that I was no longer pregnant. So
Hmm.
that was a tough loss. Definitely not as tough as the first one, but we kept
Hmm.
going and did 4 months of letrozole and
Hmm.
then 4 IUIs. So 4 months of IUIs after that.
So again, we are sorry for your loss and we thank you for sharing. So this is a lot, y'all. And what an IUI is an intrauterine insemination. So that's basically it's not quite the IVF. So you're not taking the shots, correct?
Right.
This is
Exactly.
the doctors are going to be taking Harold's sperm
Mm-hmm.
because he had the glowing review, and we feel you, Harold. We love it.
Woo
And
woo.
right, go ahead, Harold. And they're going to inseminate you in the doctor's office. Some women actually can do this at home. Some
Yeah,
women opt to do it at home, which is great.
I've
And
heard.
so, did you opt to do this in the doctor's office?
Yes, we did it in the doctor's office. Just make it simple and easier than I think it would have been trying to do it at home.
Right. And so, how many times did you try the IUI?
4 months in a row,
Four
but
months
no,
in a row. Nope.
hmm no
So
pregnancies this time.
one didn't work, two didn't work, three didn't work, and four didn't work. So you guys hear all of this. So we have Clomid, we have the other drug that starts with the L. Tell me that again.
Oh, letrozole.
Letrozole, and we have 4 rounds of IUI that didn't work. So now how is this emotionally and spiritually for you and for your husband and for that partnership of two people that are trying for this goal, and there's these barriers in the way? How was that for you?
Emotionally, I was all over the place. I mean, there were days where I felt like I could keep going, it's going to be okay. And then there were days where I just like hated it. I just hated that that's what we were going through. And I was insanely jealous of women who just could snap their finger and get pregnant, like, or, the honeymoon baby, that kind of thing. It increasingly became harder to be around pregnancy, to be around friends who were pregnant or family. Um, it just, in between the marriage, it just felt like a lot of times I felt like a broken record where I was talking about the same things all the time. And I think, Harold at times got really sick of it. He wanted to still enjoy our lives and have other things we're thinking about and doing, which we were. Like, we were really an active couple and did a lot socially and traveled and everything, but it was just always hanging there, like this looming dark cloud.
That was always kind of going on. And I just want to talk about this for a second because when you were talking about it became increasingly harder to see other people get pregnant and the
Hmm.
honeymoon, that's a real thing, y'all. It's
Yeah.
it's I just wanted to emphasize it because I'm a woman that froze 29 of her eggs, that has never been pregnant, and was waiting on my herald, my version of a herald to show up. But as I get older in age, I start to wonder, do I do this by myself? What do I adopt? You know what I mean? Do I foster? What are my options? And as we see so many people around us that seemingly get pregnant easy, it does take a toll on us. Can you speak to that a little bit more in terms of how you managed to deal with that or not deal with it? How you coped with being a part of the community and seeing people that you love, you respect, going to these baby showers, all while you're going through all of these rounds that at the time were not successful. How was that for you?
I mean, I tried to protect my heart. You know, in the beginning, I think it was easier. Like, this was a 6-year journey. So like the first, I'd say 2-3 years, I was still attending baby showers and children's parties and, you know, in situations like that. But years 4 and 5, it was like, okay, like I can't do this anymore. I need to protect my heart. I'm still gonna love you. I still love your child. And for some reason, it was a lot easier for me to deal with it once the child was there versus the pregnancy part. Once the child was there, you know, I love you. You're part of my tribe. Like, I love everybody's children. But it was just like that pregnancy part was so hard because you just want it so bad. So I did talk to my friends about it and let them know that I just couldn't be there like that anymore physically at the showers.
Hey, when I got to shout, could y'all please give her some prayer hands or some spirit hands for some amens? Because when you said I protected my heart and you took it upon yourself to say what your need was, and your need started to become, I can't come to your shower. I might be able to hang out with you once the baby is here. But so many of us feel like we have to be polite. And you guys, it's still polite to say, I can't come, or even decline without an answer. Just you're unavailable. So they're putting those prayer hands up. And so protection is so important, says Ann Hopkins. It really is. And we have to give ourselves permission to take care of our hearts and do whatever we need to do to make sure that our spirit is in alignment with what we need. Broken Brown Egg says, yes, ma'am, emotional boundaries. Niecy Nash, oh, that's my sister's fan page. Hey, what's up? Putting her spirit hands up. The Princess Warrior, how you doing? So I'm so glad that you brought that up. So y'all, take it from Nichelle, take it from me, give yourself permission. So, and I'm going to read something else that Broken Brown Egg says. If you guys hear us calling her out, she is a fertility warrior herself, has an amazing story, and she was on Warrior Wednesdays, and she also has a website called Broken Brown Egg. She says, Brene Brown says, to be clear is to be kind. Be clear with these folks. So to be clear is to be kind. So I love that. So thank you for that detour.
Sure.
So now I want to get back to after 4 rounds of IUI. So that didn't work. So what is next?
So then, and I should have mentioned this before, but our faith really got us through this, because believing that it was possible, prayer, we would pray before each step, you know, so we prayed, should we move on to IVF? And I felt, you know, we felt it. I felt it. Yes. So we moved on to IVF. And
come on, faith.
Yeah, come on, faith. So that faith is real, and it saved us. But yeah, so we moved on to IVF. I did my first round, my first egg retrieval in July of 2015. And I went into it thinking, oh, this is going to be not too bad. You know, once we get the eggs and the embryos, I'll be pregnant, because everybody gets pregnant from IVF. You know, that was my thought. And we had 3 normal embryos. So we did like the PGS testing, had 3 normal embryos that we banked. froze. And in November of 2015, we did the first frozen embryo transfer.
Okay, so can you tell everybody that may not have been through this yet what the PGS testing is of the embryo? And so
Sure.
just so you guys know that don't know that an embryo is Nichelle's egg, Harold's sperm, and the embryologist, how we had Dr. Curly Hughes on here, who's an embryologist, actually inserts the sperm and they wait for the cells to start to divide. But can you talk about what those PGS testing is? Because it's optional, correct?
Yes, it
It's
is.
okay. So can you explain what it is?
Yeah, so it's pre-genetic implantation screening. So basically, they look at all the chromosomes. The embryologist looks at all the chromosomes in the embryo and makes sure those are normal. And it's not 100%, like it's not foolproof, but it gives you, at least our doctor said it would give us a much better chance of the embryo implanting and becoming a healthy baby. So we decided to do that. It was not covered by insurance, but like you said, it is optional, but we just elected to do it, and I'm glad that we did. Yeah.
Good, good. So we got that done, and then you said there was three
Yes.
embryos. So three
Hmm.
embryos that the PGS test said, okay, these are the best ones to go with. And so then what happens?
Yeah. So I went in for my embryo transfer, which is basically where they take that embryo, put it into a catheter, insert it into the uterus. It looks like a little spark, like flying. They'll show you on the screen. And you hope and pray that that embryo attaches to your uterus and starts growing. So
So
went
we
into
did one, and what happened?
we did one. So about a week after the transfer, I felt all this cramping, and I was like, oh, well, maybe that's the implantation. I'm thinking, oh, this could be a good sign. But I was like doubled over in pain, and it
Ooh,
just seemed really strange. And I don't know, that could have been things not working out, because a week later we found out that I was not pregnant. So
okay.
I
So,
was, I mean, we were devastated, shocked. It felt like someone died, and someone
oof.
did die, my baby. It
Mm,
just, we couldn't believe it. I mean, they were
mm,
like, you're young, you're healthy. This embryo's healthy. You have a 60% chance that this is going to work. In fact, one genetic counselor said a 70% chance that it would work.
mm.
And they just had so many positive things to say. Like my lining looked great, my numbers, my body, just everything, all signs pointed to yes. And so to get that negative test was just a huge blow.
Huge,
Mm-hmm.
huge. And how, so what, because we know that you did continue on, but the process of everything that you had been through up to this point, um how did you self-care for yourself, finding out that the implantation that was supposed to take,
Mm-hmm.
where all of the boxes were checked, how did you care for yourself in that moment of finding out that it didn't take?
I believe it was a lot of prayer. It was a
Mm-hmm.
lot of saying, just stepping back and looking at the bigger picture. Like, okay, we still have these two embryos. All is not lost. Like,
Mm.
wasn't a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't work, and it doesn't mean that this is going to keep happening. Probably the next one will work. We have these
Mm-hmm.
two other healthy embryos. I remember we took another vacation. We did a lot of vacations after failures. And we just tried to regroup. I was around a lot of friends and family that were really supportive, for the ones who knew, because we still weren't very public about our journey at this time.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So people who knew what we were going through, we confided in them, and just I remember meeting with other women who had been through it too, and I drew from their strength, because they were able to tell me, you know what, I kept going. I got back up. I tried it again, and it was finally successful.
That's what's so amazing about all of the advocacy work that you do out there in the fertility
Oh,
world, and speaking up so much, because just what you said, you drew from other women's strength. And that's what the women that are on here today and that I know are going to be sharing this, And you
Yeah.
also mentioned faith, which we talk about a lot here on Warrior Wednesdays. I don't know if you have a thing, but I'll share it because it's right here and I'm looking at it. But I always
Okay.
talk to other warriors. We had Nichelle Poston on from Her Normal a couple weeks ago, and she
Yes.
has a pink blanket, a baby blanket that was actually supposed to be a baby shower gift for one of her friends, but she decided, I'm gonna keep it and hang it up in my closet as
Mm-hmm.
some faith that my baby is coming. And you guys, you guys know that I have the faith onesies, but I also have a faith egg.
Oh,
So
that's
I just,
beautiful.
isn't that gorge? So I
Yes.
just wanted to show this to you because it's in front of me. And I love the fact that you've mentioned faith so much, because when you open it up, you guys, it has a little holder in there.
Oh.
And I have black mustard seeds.
Oh, I love
So isn't that adorbs?
it
But
is.
we need these things. So the
Mm-hmm.
reason that I wanted to show this is because we need these things to
Mm-hmm.
be a visual reminder of what's to come. You know,
Yes.
this egg was a gift to me, and the vial of mustard seeds were a gift to me as well. And these are the things, these are the visual things. Did you have anything like this? Did you have a visual reminder that
I
God
did.
said it's going to happen? Tell us about it.
So in 2014, after that chemical pregnancy, I went to homecoming at UNC and I was in student stores and I bought a bib that had the NC on it. And so it was gender neutral. And I remember I took it home and I had it in my closet. And I was just like, one day, our baby's going to wear that.
And has he worn it?
Yes. Yeah.
See, I
In
love
fact,
that.
when I announced my pregnancy to my team at work, UNC had just beat Duke, and I took the bib, and that's how I did the announcement to
That's
my
how
team.
you did the announcement.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
I hope you guys can take this for yourself, to buy yourself something tangible, something in faith to remind you. And if you are someone supporting someone with ovaries or someone with sperm on their fertility journey, one of the ways that you can support people that do let you in, because it's a private thing, that do
Yeah.
let you in, is to possibly buy them a little bib, a little egg. Like I said, this was a gift
Yeah.
of faith, because sometimes people ask us a lot of questions. Resolve put it on their site the other day that was like, people ask, have you ever considered trying this? Have you ever considered trying that? And it's like, trust me, when we're in the fertility journey, we've considered
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
So the way to really be supportive is to not ask that question and to say, what can I do? Or to send a little gift of faith. So
Yeah.
I love that you had that bib.
Yeah.
So, okay, so now let's go back. So now bring us to the second round of IVF.
Yes. So the second round, I remember the first was in November, so we did another transfer in April. It was April 1st, April Fool's Day.
April Fool's Day. And you remember all the dates,
I
right?
do. It's insane. Like,
Mm-hmm.
so now we're in 2016. So we've moved up a few years and went in, did the transfer. Lo and behold, I was pregnant. I just felt like this was it. They gave me a due date. It was December 18th, 2016. I was over the moon. Harold was over the moon. We're like, finally, thank you, Lord. Unfortunately, 6.5 weeks pregnant, another miscarriage.
Oh,
Yeah.
whew. Another miscarriage. We're
Another
sorry.
blow. And it was shocking again, because apparently the statistic is if you have a PGS normal embryo and you do the implantation and you get pregnant, you have that positive pregnancy test, there's only a 5 to 8% chance of a miscarriage.
Mm-hmm.
So here I am once again falling in that really low percentage and having no idea why.
You guys, I need a lot of flowers right now because there's a lot of angels on this chat. So I need a lot of flowers right now for Nichelle, because I was not kidding when I told you a real, true warrior was going to be sharing her story with you. Again, I'm sorry for
Thank
your
you.
loss. Again, I'm sorry that that you experienced that again. But again, I'm grateful that you're able to speak about this,
Thank you.
because it's not easy. And a lot of people wouldn't even be able to say those words. And here you were, the Princess Warrior says, truly a faith warrior. You know, and
Thank
people act like it isn't trauma. Exactly. It is. My mom says, oh, my heart just skipped a beat.
you.
So I hope you feel the love and the flowers that are coming in for you.
I do.
And the resilience that you and Harold had going through this, how did he support you in this yet again another moment?
One thing that struck me about that time was Mother's Day was coming up, and this is a whole nother story, but essentially at some point I told him that I felt like I should start celebrating Mother's Day, because I said I am a mother. I'm a mother to angel babies, and
Yes.
I don't like being left out, because it used to be that every Mother's Day was just like devastating. It was just so hard to go through it over and over and still not be a mom. And he agreed. And so that was one
Ooh.
thing. He started giving me cards and flowers or a gift every Mother's Day from that point on. You're going to make me cry.
Oh, I'm sorry, but that is beautiful,
Thank
because what it does is it changes your story, right?
you.
Um,
It did.
because you said I am a mother, and you are, and you were, you continue to be, and those babies are your babies. And
Yes.
so when we change our story
Mhm.
and we claim the position that God has given us, because he doesn't give us things that we can't handle,
Right.
right? It doesn't happen that way. And we can either see it through our own lens, our
Mhm.
human lens, or the spiritual lens of God
Mhm.
saying, I have given you agency to be a mother over these spirits that I have with me.
Yes.
And I want you to own that. And so I love the fact that you said you were going to start celebrating. And yes, to Harold for celebrating you, and for celebrating you as a mother and him
Yeah.
as a father. I love that. I think that's absolutely beautiful. You guys,
Thank you.
I hope you take that lesson from Nichelle and Harold. And my tears are because one change of perspective can change a life. Like you
Absolutely.
saying that truly heals somebody that's going to see this. That
Yeah.
if I just think about it differently, then
Reframing it.
reclaiming it,
Yeah.
reclaiming it. And so now you're walking in knowing that you are a mother,
Yes.
and we've gone through the second round of IVF. So,
Yes.
what brings us to the third? And tell us that journey.
Okay, yes. So the third actually occurred after Mrs. North Carolina, after all of that.
Oh, well, wait, y'all. Just so y'all know, this is Mrs. North Carolina, year 2018, correct?
Yes, yes.
You are watching Mrs. North Carolina, so you can go ahead and put the crowns up right now, because she is a queen in all things. And this is what's so amazing, because when we see the pictures of the gowns and the crown and the whole thing, we think that that whole life doesn't have any of this in it. But
Right.
you used the Mrs. North Carolina pageant, am I
Mhm.
correct, as a way
Yes.
to start the platform of
Yeah.
fertility? Tell us.
Yeah. So end of 2017 is when I was crowned, and we were on a break from all the fertility stuff after I got crowned. We just said, let's stop. But I knew and I felt a calling, distinct calling when I was crowned, that I had to get my story out in the midst of it. Because I always knew I was going to tell my story. I just
Right.
thought it was going to be after I had like the 2.2 kids and everything was perfect and tied up with a bow. But I knew in that moment that there was power in the middle of the storm, that there was
Ooh, hold
power.
on, Nichelle. Wait right there. If y'all don't hear anything else, say that again. There is what?
There is power in the middle of your storm.
There is power in the middle of your storm, y'all. So here you are going through this pageant, and you knew you were going to share it eventually, but you chose, you were like, now is the time. Because now you have this platform, right?
Yeah.
Now the world is watching.
Yeah.
And you chose that moment. So tell us more. So you decided.
Yeah. So the first thing I did was basically talk about it on social media. I mean, I wrote out the story. I let everybody know pretty much what was going on, which at the time felt like this dark secret that I was keeping, that I was ashamed of. And I was like, you know what? I'm no longer ashamed. I'm going to put it out there. I want to help somebody. I want to put a face and a voice to this disease, especially with women of color, because a lot of times we don't talk about this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was so freeing. It was cathartic, really, to start talking to women about my story and sharing and hearing other people's stories. And, people just came out of the woodwork with what they had been through and how they had gotten through it. I mean, it was amazing. Just
I
this
mean, that's the
community.
thing about share. This community is amazing. And once
Mhm.
you start sharing one story, once you open up, all of a sudden, here come
Yeah,
all of your sisters, all of your brothers that have been through, that have walked those walks before
yeah,
you, and those coming behind you. And so all of a sudden you are just wrapped in this affirmation that we get it, right? We get it.
mhm.
And so I'm so glad that you used the platform. And
Thank
that's what I mean, you guys, as being a true warrior, power in the middle of the storm. So she took her power back and began to speak out about it. And then you're going through the third round of IVF. Sandra
Yeah,
Toga says, you definitely helped me. So just so you know, if you have questions for Nichelle, go ahead and write it in the question mark there. So let's
please
go through our
do.
third round.
Please do. Yeah. So the third round, and I will preface that by saying after that second round and before this third round, so that I'd say I think it was about 2 years in between,
Okay.
we had two more pregnancies that were naturally conceived and two more miscarriages. Yeah. So there was that as well. So by the time we get to this
Whew.
third
We love you,
transfer,
girl. We love you, girl. We do.
thank
Y'all put those flowers in those. Because for every angel baby there, we love you. We thank you for sharing that. I thank you for sharing that. I actually didn't know about those two in between. So you
yeah,
had two natural pregnancies
right.
that went to be angels. Lord have mercy.
So
Have
it,
mercy. And mercy he did have. Mercy he had. Right.
yes,
Amen. Amen. Okay. So,
amen. So
mm-hmm.
by the time we got to this third transfer, and I'd also had another egg retrieval. So at this
Mm-hmm.
point, I had more embryos. I had 5 banked. So we get to
Woo! You are
last.
a strong woman to keep going. I didn't mean to
Thank you.
cut you off, but you just have to know how powerful your story is.
Thank you.
It's going to make me emotional, but it's because, my God, when we complain, y'all, about the little things, we miss it. We miss it. Please take Nichelle's resilience, your love for wanting a baby to hold in your arms. It's supernatural. I'm going to be honest. I didn't walk your walk, but I might have been like,
Yeah.
but God gave it to you because he knew you wouldn't. And he told you your baby is coming. And so I just had a moment of being filled with the knowledge of the little things that I sometimes complain about in life. And to hear you now bring us through five
5
five
at this
miscarriages at this point,
is-
and for you to keep going Y'all, I don't care what challenges you have in your life. If God has put a call on your life, whether that's to be a mother, a father, a career, or whatever, take it from Nichelle. Don't you stop, because you are looking at a testimony. You are looking in a testimony wrapped in the brown skin of a mother that claimed being a mother before she held her son. If you take nothing else, there is power in the middle of the storm. And take this woman's resilience, put it in your front pocket, not your back.
Thank
I
you.
just had to say that.
It's-
And the comments are going crazy. Your willingness to believe in something instead of letting the circumstances make you feel like it was God saying no. Exactly. I mean, God kept her going, y'all. She never
He
stopped
did.
moving towards what she knew was promised for her. Such strength and character. You are a testimony. Okay, before we run out of time.
Thank you. Yes.
Okay, so number 3. So we're taking the embryo, our healthy embryo.
Yeah. So at this point, I knew this was going to be my last time, because I just get emotional talking about it, but I felt like I could not go through another miscarriage. Like, I was just spent at this
Right.
point. It was so hard on me emotionally, but also physically.
Yeah.
We went into it with the best of intentions. We did have a plan for surrogacy if this did not work.
Okay.
So that third transfer happened in December of 2018. And that was my son. That was Hudson. I mean, he's here. He's almost 17 months now.
We got our baby.
Yes, yes.
Oh my God. So Hudson came into your belly the last round of IVF. And I want y'all to hear what she said. You already had a plan in place for a surrogate, because
Yes.
you were like, I'll do this one more time, but I can't go through this again. But you carried through for that last time. And God said, here you go.
He said yes. He
He
said
said yes.
That was my social media announcement, was God said yes. That was the first line.
God said yes, and you said yes.
Yeah.
You said yes to what he would say to you in your soul, because you knew you were a mother. You already had a plan for a surrogate. That baby was coming into this world come what may. So even when you said my body may need to stop, you were already saying, but my baby is got to get here somehow.
Yes.
I'm so honored to have you here to be able to share this. And I'm so grateful to God that he allowed you to have the yes in your body, and to be able to rub your belly. So how
Yeah.
was it to feel Hudson in there kicking away?
Surreal.
Yeah.
I mean, I would take videos. It was just one of those things, like, until I was carrying him out of the hospital, I would still look at him and just think, you're here. Like, you got here.
Yeah.
I have a baby.
One thing we know is that God does not fail, and he does not lie.
No, he does not.
And you have truly been an example of believing that it can happen.
Thank you.
No matter what your circumstances are.
Thank you. Yes.
Faith without works is dead. And you did the work, and you didn't look at your circumstances. You listened with another ear. And it is a beautiful thing. Do y'all please, hearts, flowers. Somebody said, girl, broken about egg. Judah is 4. Sometimes say to him, I grew you, and he's looking at me crazy. They are saying, I love her faith. It's like the story of Abraham and Isaac. You were willing to sacrifice the dream of your body, carrying him, but willing to submit to any means necessary. You were not giving up. This is like the honor of Warrior Wednesday for me, because it's like I said, I probably would have thrown in the towel, but that's why God knew to give it to you, because he's like, this one right here is going to carry it, and she's going to tell it so that other people have the strength to carry it. So let me see if we have any questions for you, Nichelle. Woo! Let's see here. I always comes out on top. Says, what advice do you give a woman fighting through this journey with what appears to be the last shot? Well, we just said it, but is there anything specific you want to say to that?
I would stay open. I feel like sometimes we'll say, well, I will never do this. I'll never do IVF, or I'll never do, people use donor sperm, people use donor eggs. Some people say they'll never do that. They'll never adopt. I would say just be open in your heart to however that child may come into your heart, because I felt like I was open. I made plans. If this doesn't work, let's try this. And we went all the way down the line to adoption as well. If all fails, I really wanted to be pregnant and carry the baby, but we had to say, well, if that doesn't work, we do still have our embryos. Let's try a surrogate. We just really tried to stay open. So I would encourage people to do that, because you never know what child is really meant for you.
So stay open, you guys. Stay open. This has been it's blown my mind and my emotions. I was going to. My mother says you have a great husband. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
thank
she
you.
does.
I agree.
Yes, she does.
Thank you, Mama Stu.
Exactly. Mama Stu was the one that came and helped freeze my eggs. So she was my herald.
Wonderful.
She was my herald, and they're saying that's great advice. Sometimes we never want to be open for the next opportunity. And with that, I do want to thank you profusely for sharing. I'm not even going to apologize for the tears. I'm not even going to say, well, girl, I'm sorry I got emotional, because no, I am not. I love every moment of witnessing what God did in your life and will continue to do in your life. And I'm so glad that the fertility community at large has your voice in it. The Princess Warrior says, you never know what child is meant for you, quoting you, and says, love that. And we don't ever know what child. Can't block our blessings. Today was wonderful and needed. So just know that this will spread the good news for a very long time. So you guys, we have Start Asking.
Yes.
Start Asking from Nichelle Polston, hashtag Start Asking. So I want you guys to look that up and spread that word. And where can everybody find you and follow you? Because I want them to follow you today and send this around. Where do they find you?
That'd be great. Yes, I'm at Nichelle W. Sublett. So it's with an N like Nancy, and Nichelle W. Sublett.
At Nichelle W. Sublett on Instagram. And are you on Twitter as well?
I am at Nichelle_Bianca. So I'm not as active on Twitter, but I am also on Facebook under Nichelle Wynn Sublett.
Yes, and she has a TED Talk. So what some folks don't know is that how I found you, because it's interesting. Sometimes people call to be on, and we got February all booked. But I spend my time looking for Black women that are speaking about fertility. So y'all, I found Miss Nichelle Sublett on a TED Talk that she did about fertility. Can you tell us briefly about that? And I'll put the link to it as well in the bio so everyone can watch.
Sure, thank you. The TED Talk I did in 2019. It was an amazing experience. It was about why women should start asking their doctors for fertility assessments at an earlier age. So I basically go through the science of why you need to look into that, and also my personal story about why I wish I had started sooner.
Yeah, and you were 6 months pregnant with Hudson when you did that TED Talk. So I want you guys to hear that she was 6 months pregnant, but still advocating for women to get their baseline fertility testing done because of your entire journey. There was things that you wish you had known a little sooner. And it's the same with me. There was things that I wish I knew sooner. So you guys start asking, hashtag start asking, be an advocate for yourself with your doctors. Ask the questions, ask to get fertility diagnostic tests or baseline fertility tests. That's going to be your FSH hormone levels. It's going to be your AMH, your anti-Müllerian hormone levels. Also, sometimes they do an ultrasound like they did with Nichelle. That's how they discovered PCOS. But they can discover whether or not you're ovulating, because sometimes in Nichelle's case, you don't have all the symptoms. So you don't know until the panic moment what's going on. So hashtag start asking, be proactive about your fertility health. The way that you can thank Nichelle is to start asking and spread that message all around. We are going to continue to follow you on social media and all the advocacy that you do in the fertility world. And from one fertility advocate to someone that I just treasure and honor, I thank you for joining us today on Warrior Wednesday.
Thank you so much, Kelly. Thank you for having this platform, for being a warrior yourself, for spreading this message about infertility awareness. It's amazing. And I thank you so much for reaching out to me. And I'm so glad we connected and that you had me on your show. That was
absolutely. And there's going to be more, girl. I'll be calling you for something else soon. Don't worry. We're going to keep spreading this word. We're going to let these girls know. We're going to let these brown people know that we are out here. It is normal, and we're going to talk about it, and we're never going to shut up about it, so that everybody feels included on their journey, and that they can know that there's power in the middle of the storm as well. So thank you. I will be hitting you up, girl. You guys throw her some flowers. I absolutely will. Kiss Harold and Hudson for us. Throw her flowers. Everyone's saying they love you. It's so great that you were here. Thank you. Go follow Nichelle. Start asking. Nichelle Polston. We love you. Thank you, sis. God bless. God bless, baby. God bless. All right.
God bless you. Thank you so much.
Absolutely. God bless you, baby. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Take care. Bye-bye. Oh, my gosh, you guys. I told y'all. I'm not even going to apologize about my emotions. It's just, when you... I ain't got nothing to complain about. And that's what it made me feel like, is that if Nichelle can go through that, whatever you're going through, you're going to make it. You're going to make it. And it's women like Nichelle Polston who have gone through mountains of heartache and loss and medical procedures and decided to keep going because God was going to say yes one day. And he did, in the beautiful form of her baby Hudson and all of her angel babies that are watching over her entire family. So I just hope that you feel blessed by seeing someone that did not give up. And as she said, you never know where your child is going to come from. You never know whether it's adoption, fostering, in your body, surrogacy. She was already prepped to say, if I can't host the baby inside, then I'll have somebody else do it. And God said, yes. And he will say his yes to you, whatever form it comes in. Okay. So thank you for being here. You guys know that I will be back next Wednesday. I have Michener on, like I said, from First Wives Club, and a wonderful woman named Ebony. And they're going to be talking about preemies, and we're going to hear about their birth stories and learn more about all of that. So follow Nichelle, continue to spread the word about Warrior Wednesdays, and I will see y'all next week. I love y'all. Thank you for being here. Okay, I'm going to post it. All right, bye.